Hello and welcome to section 15.5. This will be the last section in our STEM Challenge course, and we hope you've enjoyed it. We're going to talk about natural resources and climate change in our last section. So the first thing we'd like to do is talk about the difference from a human standpoint between renewable resources, ones that can be replenished by natural processes as quickly as we use them. This includes sunlight, solar, and wind power. As opposed to non-renewable resources. So it's as pictured here in figure 1525. Wind is a renewable resource. Wind turbines like this one can harness a tiny fraction of the wind. Living things are considered to be renewable, and that's because we can reproduce and replace ourselves. To be truly renewable, though, we must use resources in a sustainable way. Sustainability is a big new concept, relatively new concept that we are all living with. And sustainable use is to use resources in a way that meets the needs of the present and also preserves the resources for future generation. That's really important now. Non-renewable resources are ones that exist in a fixed amount and can be used up. For example, fossil fuels such as petroleum, coal, natural gas, gasoline. These fuels are formed from remains of plants over hundreds of millions of years. And we're using them up faster, and we're putting a lot of carbon dioxide into our atmosphere. At the current rate, petroleum will probably be used up in a few decades. Nuclear power is also considered a non-renewable resource because it uses up uranium, which will sooner or later run out. Soil and water are also renewable resources. However, they can be ruined by careless human activity. Make sure you read this section, but take a look at this picture. This is what the Midwest of the United States looked like between 1933 and 39. And all of this was caused because we didn't use the land in a sustainable way. These were intense dust storms that blew away topsoils and blew it into the Atlantic Ocean. It's hard to believe. And it really exacerbated the depression that our country was in at the time. Even though we're on a water planet, we can only use the fresh water, and water is essential for all life on Earth. It must be fresh for us to use. Of all the water on the Earth, only 1% of that is fresh liquid water. Most of the rest is either salt water in the ocean or in glaciers or ice cap. It's really important that we take care of fresh water. Already 1 billion people worldwide don't have access to adequate fresh water, and this will be a growing problem in our future, especially as the climate gets warmer. So we have to take care of our soil, we have to take care of our water, we also have to take care of our atmosphere. This section talks about some of the major pollutants and the problems they cause. Take a look at this. It's really important that we minimize and we live sustainably into the future. Now, global climate change is another major problem caused by air pollution. Gases such as carbon dioxide. Carbon dioxide is the main one from burning fossil fuels, increases the greenhouse effect and raises the temperature on the Earth's surface. There was a time back in the 1980s where scientists weren't sure if it was part of a natural effect or whether it was caused by human. There's no controversy anymore. We know for sure that it's human activity that's causing the greenhouse effect that's putting more and more carbon dioxide into the air. Carbon dioxide and methane are two of the most predominant greenhouse gases. And without greenhouse gases, most of the sun's energy would be radiated from the Earth's surface back into outer space. But right now, those gases act like a blanket and are making our Earth warmer and warmer. So global warming refers to the recent increase in the Earth's average surface temperature, and during the past century, the temperature has risen almost 1 degree. That doesn't seem like much, but consider that a 10-degree difference is the difference between an ice-free and an ice-covered Earth. So it's really important that you realize that these numbers have unbelievable consequences on our planet. Most scientists agree that global warming is caused by more carbon dioxide in the atmosphere. This increases the greenhouse effect. I'd like to show you a couple things coming up. So the first graph we have here is our global temperature from meteorological stations all over the planet. And the average annual temperature has been rising from the last 100 years. So take a look at this. This is 1880, and this is a fairly dramatic rise over the last 100 years. And it's continued into 2020. take a look at this. This is just carbon dioxide. This graph shows the recent trend for carbon dioxide, and we're well over now, this was from a couple of years ago, we're well over 400 parts per million. That's how the carbon dioxide is measured. So lucky for us, we have lots of scientists who are studying the world over about climate change. And in our country, two organizations that spend a lot of time on this are NASA and NOAA, and they track climate data change. This is a website that is put out by both organizations. I think it's on NASA's website, and I've linked it. Yeah, it's climate.nasa.gov. I've linked it in the presentation, as well as I'll try and also link it to the YouTube video at the Screencast. Really important to look. Look here at the bottom. We're looking at carbon dioxide. As I said, it's well over 400 parts per million at this point. We're in 2020 when I'm recording this. But you can also look at global temperature, Arctic ice, the ice sheets. All of the data is saying the same thing. It's really important to look at the bottom, and you can tab through when you get to this website. I'd like you to look at it, understand it, and know what organizations presented this. So this is from NASA, the National Aeronautic and Space Administration, and NOAA, the National Organization for Atmospheric Administration. There's a wonderful YouTube channel that does a lot of research called Kurzgesagt. Don't let the name put you off. It's a German word which means in a nutshell. And I'd like you to watch, this is a longer than normal animation, it's about 10 minutes, but I'd like you to watch Who is Responsible for Climate Change. This is by Kurzgesagt. I think you'll find it enlightening. I think you'll find it interesting. And if you want to talk about climate change and what we can do, this is a good place to start. So this concludes our course, the STEM Challenge. We hope that you've enjoyed it. And you'll now go forth in the world with more information about the life within us, our cells, our genes, but also the life inside our planet. Thank you very much, and we'll talk to you soon.